Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to explain to you the real difference between base 10 and base 12 mathematics, or base 12 geometry. So it's going to show you a Cartesian plane, or a grid basically. Now you can see the highlighted lengths here. These squares have the dimensions of 1 by 1. And so on this side we're dividing that 1 by 1 into tenths. You can see, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 all the way to 10. And on this side, we're dividing that same size square into 12ths. So you can see there 0.9, point A, point B. So we're calling those extra numbers A and B. So you can see the difference here. Both of these polygons are made up of line segments that are the length of 0.5 root 2. But in base 10, that length of 0.5 root 2 is a longer length. And in base 12, the grid pattern is denser in base 12, and so the individual line segments or little pieces of 1 are shorter in base 12. So we get the same pattern, but it's smaller, and it lands on the 1 in a way that it doesn't in base 10. We go over 1, up 0.7, and there's the point that defines the dodecagon. So this is a pattern. So you can see that this doesn't exist in base 10 and vice versa. So that's the key difference right there between base 10 and base 12. It's not so much counting in groups of 10 or groups of 12, it's in the dividing of the 1. And so when we explore base 12 mathematics on the base 12 Cartesian plane, this is what we want to remember, that the points where all those lines are crossing are different. This doesn't line up. You can see this middle line here. The 0.5 or 0.6, the halfway is the same line, but all these other points in between, they line up differently, so the lattice points line up differently. And when we label the coordinates on our Cartesian plane, we're actually landing on different places that don't exist as lattice points on the other grid. So that's basically it. To really understand, that's the first step. If I was to make a course in base 12, understanding base 12 mathematics, this would be the first assignment, is to basically draw this yourself. It's actually more difficult than you would think. If you start with graph paper in either base and then have to divide the other side differently, it's a little bit of a challenge. And so that's what it looks like. So that's the first step in understanding the real difference between base 10 and base 12 mathematics, that it's in the dividing of the 1 where the real difference lies. Okay, and we're now journeying to understand how to draw a diagram for 360 degrees. This is the first step, understanding this, and using this pattern here. That's the pattern that will give us access to the geometry of the circle. This is the geometry of the circle. It may not look like much. The next step is to convert this. This is currently an irregular polygon, and that these distances are not all the same distance from the points that define the shape, aren't the same distance from the center. So the next question is, can we manipulate these lines a little bit and create a polygon that's a regular polygon and all the points are the same distance from the center? The answer is yes. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video.